Chapter 801. Rumble. With a loud bang, a square battle stage made of an unknown type of Emperor metal appeared in the world battlefield. Clang! A buzzing sound could be heard. The sound of a bell could be heard. In an instant, it filled the sky and swept through the entire chaotic great heavens. It was also at this moment that ripples appeared above the square battle stage, emitting the aura of an immortal emperor. In the center of the ripples, thousands of exquisite and luxurious chairs appeared and floated around the square battle stage. After cultivating in seclusion for so many years, I can finally stretch my muscles and bones. Yes, I've waited for this day for too long. At this moment, two powerful voices sounded in everyone's ears. In the next moment, two figures landed on the two chairs around the square battle stage. It's Emperor Yuan and Immortal Emperor Hengsu, the first and second place of the previous Immortal Emperor ranking board. The memory of their battle is still fresh in my mind. Look! Another Immortal Emperor is here! Just as everyone's gaze fell on Emperor Yuan and Immortal Emperor Hengsu, another figure appeared on one of the chairs. The moment that figure appeared, golden light filled the air and the sound of an emperor echoed. The third place is Immortal Emperor Ge Yuan. In the midst of the discussion, Immortal Emperors sat down one after another. Whether it was Immortal Emperors ranked on the Immortal Emperor ranking board or not, all of them had arrived without exception. Now, only the Immortal Emperors of the All Heavens shop are left. Yuan Di said indifferently as he looked at the remaining 56 empty seats. In terms of the number of Immortal Emperors, the All Heavens shop was already number 1. As of now, including Chu Bei, there were already 56 Immortal Emperors in the sect. Among them, there were already 18 Immortal Emperors who had entered the Second Emperor realm. Among the remaining 38 Immortal Emperors, there were 7 Immortal Emperors at the peak of the First Emperor realm, led by Hong Meng. They were only one step away from entering the Second Emperor realm. They're here! At this moment, Immortal Emperor Hengsu seemed to have noticed something and raised his head slightly to look ahead. Within the ripples, several figures appeared. The one in the lead was Chu Bei. Behind Chu Bei were 17 people. Apart from Yifan, Xiaoyan, Tang San, Shi Hao, and the other 16 personal disciples, there was also the ancient dragon Phoenix, all of them Immortal Emperors who had already entered the Emperor Level 2 realm. After that, it was Hong Meng and the other 38 people. The owner of All Heaven's business! Seeing Chu Bei's arrival, all the Immortal Emperors stood up from their chairs and greeted him with cupped fists. Did that voice appear? Chu Bei nodded slightly at the group of Immortal Emperors before his gaze landed on Emperor Yuan. No. Emperor Yuan knew what Chu Bei was referring to and shook his head. Hearing this, Chu Bei frowned. If that's the case, then let the Immortal Emperor's battle begin. Yuan Di, Hengsu, and Ge Yuan exchanged a glance and nodded. After Yuan Di announced the rules of the battle as usual, the Immortal Emperor ranking battle officially began. This Immortal Emperor ranking battle lasted for 100,000 years. As expected, Chu Bei was at the top of the list. However, the second to the 17th place were all Chu Bei's personal disciples. Since Xiaoyan, Yifan, and the others did not have a clear victor, the final ranking was based on the order in which they entered Chu Bei's tutelage. Xiaoyan was second, Chen Nan was third, Tang San was fourth. Bu Xian was 15th, Bing Tong Tong was 16th, and Long Lin was 17th. As for Yuan Di, who was first in the previous round, he was ranked 18th. The ancient dragon Phoenix was 19, Hengsu Immortal Emperor was 20, Ge Yuan Immortal Emperor was 21, and Hong Meng was 22. After the Immortal Emperor ranking battle ended, the experts of the Great Primal Chaos once again recognized the All Heavens business strength as they looked at the top 100 rankings in the sky above the world battlefield. The All Heavens business occupied 18 of the top 20 rankings. The All Heavens business occupied 40 of the top 50 rankings. The All Heavens business occupied 56 of the top 100 rankings, which was the number of Immortal Emperors in the All Heavens business. In other words, all the Immortal Emperors in the All Heavens business had entered the rankings in this new round of Immortal Emperor ranking battle. After the Immortal Emperor ranking battle ended, the great primal chaos heavens regained its peace. The owner of the all heavens business, that voice has appeared. However, 10,000 years after the Immortal Emperor ranking battle, Yuan Di, Hung Su Immortal Emperor, Ge Yuan Immortal Emperor, and the others sent a message to Chu Bei at the same time. Before Chu Bei could respond, he sensed a surging source power undulation. Immediately after, a huge space formed above the All Heavens Origin Emperor Pavilion. The source heaven space! Chu Bei immediately said when he sensed the energy undulations in the space. It was a mysterious space that could only be controlled when one's cultivation reached the Emperor Stage 2. Chu Bei's divine thought moved and appeared in this space in an instant. When Chu Bei arrived, there were already several figures in the space. Yuan Di, Hung Su Immortal Emperor, and Gui Yuan Immortal Emperor were among them. Master, you're here too. At this moment, Xiao Yan, Shi Hao, Tang San, the ancient dragon phoenix, and the others also entered. They immediately bowed towards Chu Bei. The owner of that voice still hasn't appeared. But now, I can finally see through this space. One thing is for sure, he has reached the Emperor Stage 2. Yuan Di, Hung Su, and Gui Yuan looked at each other and spoke one after another. Now that they had also reached the Emperor Stage 2, they naturally understood this mysterious space that they did not understand before. When they were still at the Emperor Stage, they felt completely suppressed and powerless in the other party's source heaven space. And now, they also had their own source heaven spaces outside their bodies, which counteracted the suppression brought by the all heaven space. You guys actually broke through. 21 Emperor Stage 2. How is this possible? Terrifying. At this moment, 3 voices filled with shock rang out in the all heaven space. Show yourself. Chu Bei seemed to sense something and calmly looked in a certain direction. How did you guys break through in this epoch without Genesis Chi? A middle-aged man in a golden robe appeared. His gaze landed on Yuan Di with a puzzled expression. You're the one who spoke for countless epochs? Yuan Di, Hung Su, and the other sized up the man in golden robes and asked. The man in golden robes nodded. Although I was born countless epochs before you, you guys have already reached the Emperor Stage 2. The path of cultivation is only about cultivation. You can already talk to me face to face. Who exactly are you? Yuan Di said. Although you guys did not participate in that calamity battle, you witnessed it. The man in golden robes swept his gaze across Yuan Di and Heng Su. The battle is still ongoing. What's the situation now? Yuan Di immediately asked. The man in golden robes shook his head. It's not optimistic. Chapter 802. The golden-robed man continued. The number of immortal emperors on our side is decreasing, while the number of emperor corpses is increasing. Once all of our experts turn into emperor corpses, the great heavens and all the other planes will be destroyed. Yuan Di, Hung Su, and the others frowned when they heard the golden-robed man's words. Chu Bei, Xiao Yan, and the others also wore grave expressions. Where is the battlefield? At this moment, Chu Bei asked. The golden-robed man glanced at Chu Bei and was slightly taken aback. He then looked at Yuan Di with a questioning gaze. In his memory, he had no impression of Chu Bei. This is the owner of the All Heavens shop and the current first place on the Immortal Emperor ranking board, said Yuan Di. The golden-robed man sized up Chu Bei again and said, I didn't see you the last time I came, but now you're the first place on the Immortal Emperor ranking board. How did you cultivate? The owner of the All Heavens shop is a little special. His memories are a little incomplete, but his strength is unquestionable. According to our guess, he should be an expert who participated in that calamity, said Heng Su. Impossible. The golden-robed man shook his head. I have an impression of all the immortal emperors who participated in that calamity, whether they are still alive or have become emperor corpses. He is not among them. Yuan Di, Hung Su, Ge Yuan, and the other immortal emperors were stunned. Chu Bei's origin became a mystery once again. I will know once I check. The golden-robed man's eyes narrowed, and a majestic emperor pressure pressed towards Chu Bei. What, you want to fight? Chu Bei was expressionless. As his indifferent voice faded, a Genesis heaven space condensed around him. A white and tender doll appeared, and as it jumped, it created ripples that instantly disintegrated the golden-robed man's pressure. Origin spirit! The golden-robed man's expression changed abruptly when he saw the white and tender doll. Then, he immediately withdrew his aura. Source spirit was the symbol of a cultivator above the fourth star of the great Emperor realm. With his strength of the third star of the great Emperor realm, it was impossible for him to be his opponent. Tell me, where is the battlefield? Why did you leave the battlefield and come to the chaotic universe? Chu Bei's voice was calm, and it didn't contain the slightest fluctuation of emotion. Emperor C. The golden-robed man uttered 2 syllables. I did not leave the battlefield as a deserter, but to seek help. The gold-robed man continued. There are 36 transcendental powers in the origin world. Every single time I come here, these 36 powers must dispatch an expert at the second realm of the Emperor realm to accompany me to the battlefield. At this point, the golden-robed man's gaze swept across Yuan Di, Xiaoyan, Yi Fan, and the others. He was overjoyed. I didn't expect there to be 21 second-stage martial emperors in the chaotic universe. The sovereignty needs you. The golden-robed man's gaze returned to Chu Bei. I hope you can come with me. Okay. Chu Bei nodded and replied with a single word. Upon hearing Chu Bei's reply, Xiaoyan, Yi Fan, Shi Hao, the primordial dragon phoenix, and the other second-stage martial emperors of the All-Heavens shop nodded and agreed to go. Since we have the qualifications, we naturally have to go. Yuan Di, Heng Su, and Gui Yuan also gave their answers. Great! The golden-robed man was overjoyed. Since that's the case, let's go to the origin world now and bring along the people sent by the 36 powers. Something happened in the origin world. The Tianluo clan has been destroyed. In addition, 9 other powers have no choice but to take root in the chaotic universe due to the depletion of their Genesis Qi, said Yuan Di. The Tianluo clan was destroyed? What happened? The golden-robed man's expression changed abruptly. He had long known that the Genesis Qi in the 36 gates of the origin world had been depleted, and it was within his expectations that some powers would leave the origin world. However, the Tianluo clan's destruction had truly shocked him. It was my doing. Chu Bei's voice was calm. The golden-robed man immediately looked at Chu Bei again. He seemed to want to ask something, but he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Then I'll first pay a visit to the 9 powers that have left the origin world. The golden-robed man's figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, there were 9 more figures behind him. There was no doubt that these 9 people were immortal emperors who had reached the second stage of the emperor stage. Let's go to the origin world. The golden-robed man's gaze swept across Chu Bei, Yuan Di, and the others before he waved his right hand. A huge gap instantly appeared in the void in front of him. First, there was chaos within the gap, and then a clear, resplendent world appeared. Compared to the previous 36 gates, there were only 26 gates left in the origin world. Emperor Dao runes intertwined above these gates, revealing different words. They each represented a different power, and they were not related to each other. The golden-robed man took a step forward and instantly appeared in the origin world. Chu Bei, Yuan Di, and the others followed closely behind. As for the people sent by the other 9 powers, they formed a group and entered together. They're here! Just as the golden-robed man appeared in the origin world, a greeting came from the 26 gates one after another. Then, a figure slowly walked out from each gate. All of them had powerful auras, and they were all immortal emperors who had reached the second stage of the emperor stage. Why are there so many reinforcements this time? When the immortal emperors who walked out of the gates saw Yuan Di, Heng Su, and the others, a trace of surprise flashed across their faces. Then they looked at the golden-robed man in confusion. They're from the All-Heavens domain, the golden-robed man said indifferently. They don't have origin energy. How did they break through to the second stage of the Emperor stage? The immortal emperors asked. The golden-robed man shook his head and did not say anything. Owner of the All Heavens shop, we meet again. At this moment, the figure who walked out of the 9 underworlds gate came in front of Chu Bei and greeted him very politely. Chu Bei nodded. This person was the 9 Netherbird clan's second elder who had followed you by back then. When the other immortal emperors who walked out of the gates saw Chu Bei, their gazes paused for a moment, and a strange look flashed across their eyes. The scene of him destroying the Tianluo clan by himself was still fresh in their minds. Let's go. As the golden-robed man's voice fell, his hands formed a complicated seal, and then he waved them fiercely. With a rumble, a colorful space-time tunnel that led to an unknown place was formed. All kinds of emperor flowers bloomed in the tunnel, and the surging river of time surged. The golden-robed man took the lead and stepped into the space-time tunnel. Chu Bei and the others followed closely behind. Is that the battlefield of the Emperor Sea? We finally see it. The group of Emperor stage experts stepped into the space-time tunnel. Soon, an unbelievable scene appeared in their vision. It was a vast and boundless golden sea. Every wave contained a brand new great world. The waves surged, rising and falling continuously. Immortal Emperor power surged, space-time fragments swirled, and Emperor runes filled the air. Chapter 803. Rumble. However, the dazzling golden ocean was a terrifying battlefield. In the center of the sea, there was a vast battlefield. In the battlefield, several powerful auras intertwined and collided, releasing immortal emperor power that could destroy heaven and earth. Outside the battlefield was a barrier formed by immortal emperor runes. Several injured immortal emperors were rapidly recovering from their injuries. A Genesis heaven domain enveloped their bodies, blocking the terrifying waves of energy surging out from the battlefield. They were clearly immortal emperors who had reached the second stage of Emperor Stage. When the golden-robed man arrived with Chu Bei, Emperor Yuan, and the others, the injured immortal emperors and the remaining immortal emperors cast their gazes towards the golden-robed man's group. This is the Emperor Sea. However, what you see is only one of the 7 battlefields, and it's also the weakest one. The golden-robed man's gaze swept across Chu Bei, Emperor Yuan, and the others. Various Genesis heaven domains collided in the battlefield. In terms of numbers, the surviving immortal emperors were clearly fewer than the emperor corpses. Although the emperor corpses had lost their consciousness, their battle strength was almost the same as when they were alive. Every attack carried monstrous emperor might, terrifying to the extreme. One of the 7 battlefields? And it's the weakest one? Yuan Di, Heng Su, and the other experts were shocked when they heard the golden-robed man's words. When they looked at the life and death battles on the battlefield, they all sucked in a deep breath of cold air. Their breathing almost stopped, and they felt extremely stifled. In the great chaos heavens, they were existences standing at the pinnacle, unrivaled. But here, they were like small soldiers, fighting in the weakest battlefield. In the Emperor Sea, immortal emperors of the second stage of Emperor Stage from 1 star to 4 stars form one battlefield, known as the 7th battlefield. Immortal emperors of the second stage of Emperor Stage from 5 stars to 7 stars form another battlefield, known as the 6th battlefield. Immortal emperors of the second stage of Emperor Stage from 8 stars to 9 stars form another battlefield, known as the 5th battlefield. At the 3rd stage of Emperor Stage, each star is a battlefield. 1 star is the 4th battlefield, 2 stars is the 3rd battlefield, 3 stars is the 2nd battlefield, and 4 stars is the 1st battlefield. The golden-robed man's gaze swept across Chu Bei and Emperor Yuan as he explained the distribution of the battlefields. Only 4 stars? What about 5 stars and above? Yuan Di immediately asked. The others also looked confused. The golden-robed man glanced at the Origin Arch. If he was at the 5-star realm, the hunt for the 7th Origin tool wouldn't have failed. The strength of the 7th Origin tool was at the Emperor realm level 3 5 stars. As far as I know, we have never had a 5-star immortal emperor. Are those emperor corpses in the 1st battlefield also immortal emperor experts who participated in the Origin tool hunt? Chu Bei asked. That's right. However, it was destroyed by the third origin tool and became the terrifying emperor corpse that it is today. The golden-robed man replied. What's the situation on the various battlefields right now? Chu Bei continued to ask. The golden-robed man shook his head, his expression turning grave. The 7 battlefields are not optimistic. However, the final deciding factor is still the first battlefield. Once the first battlefield falls, the other 6 battlefields will instantly collapse. What are you all still standing there for? Since you're already here, why don't you join the battle? Suddenly, a cold and dignified divine sense transmitted from the battlefield, ringing in the ears of Chu Bei, the Origin Arch, and the others. Chu Bei followed the divine sense and saw that the speaker was a 2-realm 4-star realm expert. An origin spirit had already appeared in the origin heaven space. The emperor corpse that was his opponent was also a 2-realm 4-star realm expert. What made Chu Bei's expression change was that among the 2-realm 4-star realm immortal emperors, there was one whose aura he was very familiar with. This aura came from the same source as Tian Tong. Evidently, the 2-realm 4-star realm immortal emperor was an ancestor of the Tianluo clan. The golden-robed man entered the battlefield and found a 3-star emperor corpse as his opponent. An intense battle instantly broke out. The Origin Arch, Xiao Yan, Shi Hao, the ancient dragon Phoenix, and the others also found a 1-star emperor corpse as their opponent. In an instant, the pressure on the immortal emperors who were already fighting on the battlefield suddenly decreased. With a step, Chu Bei also entered the battlefield. The origin heaven space passed through his body, and his origin spirit drifted about and found a 4-star emperor corpse. The moment Chu Bei made his move, all the immortal emperors on the battlefield gathered their gazes. Especially when they saw that Chu Bei's origin heaven space had already produced an origin spirit, they couldn't help but reveal shocked expressions. Where did you find such a helper? Why have I never seen him before? The 4-star experts on the battlefield fought fiercely with the emperor corpse while looking at the golden-robed man with questioning gazes. A 4-star realm expert was already considered a leader in the 7th battlefield. He comes from the great domain of the chaos heavens. The golden-robed man sent out a divine sense. As for his specific origins, I don't know. Upon hearing the golden-robed man's words, the group of 4-star experts carefully observed Chu Bei's battle. What shocked them was that they actually captured their own Emperor Daos from Chu Bei's Emperor Dao. How can this be? How many Dao fruits has he cultivated? There are thousands of great Daos, and he has reached the pinnacle of each Dao. The 4-star experts exchanged glances with each other, feeling even more astonished. Rumble! Chu Bei's battle became more and more intense, and it soon entered a white-hot state. Although Chu Bei had the upper hand from the beginning, the Emperor Corpse was also a 4-star realm expert, and it didn't seem like he was going to lose anytime soon. Buzz buzz buzz! The battle continued. Surging immortal Emperor power surged in the battlefield. Due to the Emperor Corpse's advantage in numbers, another 4-star Emperor Corpse joined Chu Bei's battle at the end of the last 10,000 years. The 4-star Emperor Corpse and the other 4-star Emperor Corpse surrounded Chu Bei. Suddenly, Chu Bei's overwhelming advantage disappeared, and his expression became serious. Another 100,000 years passed. Chu Bei still didn't fall into a disadvantageous position, and he even seemed to be suppressing the 2 4-star Emperor Corpses. At this time, the third 4-star Emperor Corpse joined the battle, and they surrounded Chu Bei in a triangular formation. Chu Bei's expression became more solemn, but he rejected the help of the other 4-star immortal emperors. Is he really a 4-star? In the battlefield, the 4-star immortal emperors looked at Chu Bei, who was fighting against 3 4-star Emperor Corpses, in disbelief. They were all 4-star realm experts, and they didn't feel any pressure when facing one 4-star Emperor Corpse. However, when facing 2 4-star Emperor Corpses, they could only retreat and defend themselves. However, Chu Bei wasn't in the mood to pay attention to the immortal Emperor's exclamations. He realized that in this kind of battle where he didn't hold back his strength, he had combined various Emperor Daths countless times to defend and attack. The bottleneck of his 4-star realm had actually loosened a little. Chapter 804. Vaguely, Chu Bei felt like he was about to make a breakthrough. What made him the happiest was that both the golden disc and the origin tool catalog in his knowledge sea began to tremble. The former's patterns became clearer and clearer, while the latter's fruits became more and more transparent. Not long after the 300,000 years. Boom! The origin tool catalog and the golden disc flew out of Chu Bei's knowledge sea at the same time. Accompanied by a loud noise, the origin tool catalog and the golden disc expanded rapidly, occupying the sky above the battlefield in an instant, like two colossal creatures. Looking at the origin tool catalog and the golden disc above, Chu Bei was slightly stunned. These two guys flew out completely on their own, not under his control. Buzz, buzz, buzz! Amidst the trembling, the strange runes on the origin tool catalog floated up and down, finally forming chains of runes. Countless chains intertwined with each other, bringing with them waves of crisp sounds, and finally turned into a large rune net, enveloping down. The target of these large rune nets was locked onto the emperor corpses, instantly wrapping them up. The golden disc trembled, and billions of runes bloomed with dazzling emperor light at the same time. Every rune shot out a divine rainbow of emperor Tao, like silk threads, quickly and accurately piercing into the emperor corpses. Seeing this scene, the immortal emperors on the battlefield were stunned at first, and their faces were filled with confusion. But in just a moment, their pupils shrank, and their faces were filled with shock. The origin tool catalog and the golden disc seemed to have found nourishment. The two seemed to be in a competition, crazily absorbing a purple-red energy from the emperor corpses. The emperor corpses, which originally had terrifying strength when they were alive, were enveloped by the large rune net, or were pierced by the threads of the devil fruit tree, one by one, as if they were suddenly frozen, unable to move at all. Bang! As time passed, the first emperor corpse let out a dull sound, and then fell down with a loud bang. The large rune net wrapped around him also turned back into runes and disappeared into the origin tool catalog. Bang, bang, bang! More and more emperor corpses fell from the sky, smashing into the emperor sea below, bringing with them waves of golden waves. These emperor corpses seemed to have lost their most core energy. Without the support of this energy, they were no different from ordinary immortal emperor corpses. What's going on? What the hell is that? In just a few breaths of time, he actually got rid of those troublesome emperor corpses. The immortal emperors were dumbfounded as they watched more and more emperor corpses lose their fighting strength and fall into the emperor sea. They were truly unable to imagine that these imperial corpses that they'd fought for countless eras with had perished just like that. On the battlefield, the number of emperor corpses was decreasing. When the last emperor corpse fell from the sky into the emperor sea, the immortal emperors couldn't help but gulp. When they glanced at the origin tool list and the golden disc, it was as if they had eaten a delicious meal and had received a large amount of nourishment. After a series of cheerful cries, they returned to Chu Bei's sea of consciousness under the gaze of several celestial emperors. After a long time, the group of immortal emperors finally recovered from their shock when they saw that there were no more emperor corpses on the battlefield. It's over, their battle ended just like that. Even though everyone present was already an immortal emperor, at this moment, their expressions were as if they had just had a great dream. Master! Xiao Yan, Shihao Yifan, and the others cried out. They immediately flew to Chu Bei's side. However, they didn't seem too shocked by this scene. In their eyes, no matter how outstanding their master's performance was, this was how it should be. Were those two items your doubt-proving items? The group of immortal emperors surrounded Chu Bei, their faces full of question marks. Chu Bei's gaze indifferently swept across the immortal emperors around him, but he didn't give any response. At this moment, his attention was already on the golden disc and origin tool list in his sea of consciousness. Those corpses are controlled by the third origin tool, and the latter's energy is contained within them. These are great supplements for us. The golden disc swayed, and a white and tender chubby child appeared at the top of the tree, sending a divine will to Chu Bei. Then have you eaten enough? Seeing the patterns on the origin tool list become clearer and clearer, Chu Bei asked. Not enough, not enough! This time, it wasn't the golden disc that replied, but the origin tool list that sent out a divine will. Let's go to the 6th battlefield. Chu Bei didn't respond to the doubts of the immortal emperors around him. What? To the 6th battlefield? Hearing Chu Bei's words, the immortal emperors were shocked. Even the 4-star powerhouses were surprised. What? Are you guys still going to stay here? Chu Bei's gaze swept across the 4-star powerhouses. The 4-star powerhouses were stunned. Just as they were about to say something, they seemed to recall the previous scene, and then they looked at each other. Let's go to the 6th battlefield. The 4-star powerhouses made a decision after communicating with their divine will. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, another space-time tunnel formed by the River of Time was formed. Chu Bei took the lead and stepped into the space-time tunnel, and the others followed closely behind. Soon, Chu Bei exited the space-time tunnel. It was still the vast golden sea, and the waves were surging, rising and falling continuously. The surging immortal emperor power surged, the space-time fragments moved, and emperor runes filled the air. Compared to the 7th battlefield, although the number of powerhouses in the 6th battlefield was significantly fewer, the aftermath of the battle was even more terrifying. Even Chu Bei felt the pressure. Especially the 7-star powerhouses who led the battle. The source spirit in their source heaven space was no longer a chubby white doll, but a child with clothes on. At a closer look, the child's appearance was very similar to those 7-star powerhouses, as though they were cast from the same mold. Obviously, once a 6-star powerhouse broke through to 7-star, the source spirit's appearance didn't change. It was like a baby growing into a teenager. Just as Chu Bei and the others arrived, the powerhouses who were fighting all looked over, and a strange look flashed across their eyes. Why are you guys here? Did you leave those corpses alone? We can't hold on anymore. A majestic voice that carried the supreme immortal emperor power rang out from the battlefield. No! The energy waves of those corpses have disappeared. What's going on? The 7-star powerhouses on the battlefield seemed to have sensed something, and their eyes suddenly narrowed as they looked at Chu Bei and the others with questioning eyes. Almost at the same time, the source spirits in their source heaven spaces that were very similar to them also looked over. However, before the 7-star powerhouses from the 7th battlefield could respond, the origin tool chart and the golden disc flew out from Chu Bei's sea of consciousness at the same time. Then, amidst a loud boom, the origin tool chart and the golden disc rapidly expanded, occupying the sky above the battlefield like two colossal creatures. Chapter 805. What happened next was extremely similar to what had happened in the 7th battlefield. The strange runes on the origin tool chart floated up and down, forming chains of runes. The chains intertwined with each other, creating a crisp sound. In the end, they turned into a large rune net that enveloped everything. In an instant, the net enveloped a portion of the emperor corpses that were fighting with the immortal emperors on the battlefield. At the same time, the golden disc vibrated, and billions of runes emitted dazzling emperor light. Emperor Dao divine rainbows shot out from every rune, and they pierced into the remaining emperor corpses quickly and accurately. Witnessing this scene, all the immortal emperors in the 6th battlefield, including the 7-star powerhouses, were stunned. Then, they looked up at the golden disc and the origin tool chart with confusion in their eyes. On the other hand, Emperor Yuan, Hangsu, and the immortal emperors from the 7th battlefield were much calmer, and their faces were filled with anticipation. Buzz buzz, suddenly, the immortal emperors' expressions changed drastically, and they were filled with disbelief. Under their gaze, the two mysterious objects above their heads seemed to have found delicious food when facing the emperor corpses that had the strength of their previous lives. The two objects seemed to be in a competition, and they frantically absorbed the purplish-red energy from the emperor corpses. Just like in the 7th battlefield, the purplish-red energy in the emperor corpses quickly disappeared under the origin tool chart and the devil fruit tree's consumption. Bang! 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 In the end, the emperor corpses fell from the sky and smashed into the emperor sea below, creating golden waves. When all the emperor corpses sank into the sea, the immortal emperors on the battlefield were stunned. It was as if all of them had suddenly become numb. It was as if they could not accept this scene. Everything was too sudden. What are they? They actually absorbed the energy of the third origin tool on those corpses. The immortal emperors on the battlefield regained their senses. When they looked at the golden disc and the origin tool chart again, there was a hint of fear on their faces. Let's go! To the next battlefield! Looking at the golden disc's increasingly sturdy torso and the origin tool chart's increasingly clear runes, coupled with the unsatisfied thirst of the two objects, Chu Bei was overjoyed. He could not wait to have his fill of the two objects, especially the origin tool chart. When the runes were completely clear, he would be able to find the seventh origin tool. Mu Shui's resurrection was now even more hopeful. Is this how you came from the seventh battlefield to the sixth battlefield? After hearing Chu Bei's words, the immortal emperors of the sixth battlefield glanced at the immortal emperors of the fifth battlefield and couldn't help but speak. Victory came too suddenly, it's hard to believe that all of this happened. An immortal emperor from the seventh battlefield sighed. Who are you? The sixth battlefield's immortal emperor seemed to have sensed Chu Bei's aura and asked. The person who will end this battle. Chu Bei's voice was flat. Let's go to the next battlefield. The immortal emperor of the sixth battlefield was displeased when he didn't get an answer. However, after glancing at the devil fruit tree and the origin tool chart, he immediately opened a passage to the fifth battlefield. There were even fewer immortal emperors in the fifth battlefield, but their strength was undoubtedly even more terrifying. Within the 8-star immortal emperor's Genesis heaven space, the origin spirit had clearly grown up again, turning from a child to a young man. Looking at the 2-star immortal emperors and 9-star immortal emperors, the origin spirit had become exactly the same as those immortal emperors. At first glance, it looked like one main body and one clone. Even the 8-star and 9-star immortal emperors' expressions changed when they saw Chu Bei's group and the experts from the 6th and 7th battlefields. This time, the 8-star and 9-star immortal emperors didn't even have time to send out a message before the golden disc and origin tool chart appeared in the sky. Even though the emperor corpse in the 5th battlefield had reached the 8-star and 9-star immortal emperors, it was no different from the 6th and 7th battlefield's emperor corpses in front of the origin tool chart and golden disc. It was still just a delicious meal. In just a few breaths, the third origin tool in the emperor corpse's body was sucked dry and fell heavily into the emperor sea below. When they saw this scene, the 8-star and 9-star immortal emperors' expressions were exactly the same as when they saw the immortal emperors from the previous two battlefields. When they finally came to their senses, they all began to re-evaluate the golden disc and the origin tool chart above their heads. Let's go to the next battlefield. Chu Bei's gaze swept across the immortal emperors on the 5th battlefield. Okay. The immortal emperors on the 5th battlefield exchanged glances with each other and jointly opened up a beautiful passage. Compared to the previous battlefields, the 4th battlefield's appearance had completely changed. Chu Bei's group was clearly still above the Emperor's Sea, but they seemed to have been born in another world. To be more precise, they seemed to be in the middle of 11 new worlds. No matter which world it was filled with rich origin aura that was even stronger than the origin worlds. Rumble, the 11 worlds collided. Vaguely, there was an illusory figure in each world. If the source heaven space is the symbol of the second Emperor realm, then the source heaven world is the symbol of the third Emperor realm. The peak second Emperor realm immortal emperor from the 5th battlefield glanced at Xiao Yan, Chen Nan, and the others, then pointed at the colliding worlds. Each world filled with origin chi represents a third Emperor realm immortal emperor. There are 5 living people and 6 emperor corpses. No wonder only 5 worlds are filled with vitality. The other 6 worlds are eerie and terrifying. The primordial dragon phoenix's expression was solemn. Buzz, buzz, buzz. With a buzzing sound, the origin tool chart and the golden disc moved again. Unlike the previous battlefields, the origin tool chart and the devil fruit tree didn't fight on their own this time. Instead, they each released a wisp of energy ripples that intertwined with each other. Then, 6 streams of energy flew into the 6 source heaven worlds controlled by the Emperor corpses. Boom! The moment the origin tool chart and the golden disk interfered, the balance of the 11 source heaven worlds was broken. It's the origin tool chart. It's finally appeared. What is that thing that is with him? It can actually cooperate with the origin tool chart. At this moment, several dignified voices sounded in the ears of the immortal emperors. In the next instant, 5 of the 11 source heaven worlds that were brimming with life force disappeared. 5 illusory figures with indistinct appearances walked out. Vaguely, their gazes were focused on the origin tool chart and the golden disk. They're absorbing the energy of the third origin tool. Looking at the 6 source heaven worlds that were gradually collapsing, the 5 figures spoke again. Epochs changed, and time flowed by. Boom! Finally, the 6 Emperor corpses' source heaven worlds completely collapsed. Chapter 806. As the source heaven world was destroyed, the 6 Emperor corpses also appeared before everyone's eyes, sinking into the Emperor sea below. We won again! Looking at this scene, the immortal emperors from the 5th battlefield were excited. Then, they looked at the 5 immortal emperors who had reached the 3rd emperor realm. Senior, open the passage to the 3rd battlefield! Hearing this, the 5 immortal emperors looked at each other and shook their heads. Several years ago, we couldn't contact the 3rd battlefield, and the passage can't be opened. Can those emperor corpses open the passage? The immortal emperors were shocked. The 5 immortal emperors shook their heads again. After a long time. May I know who you are? The 5 immortal emperors fixed their gazes on Chu Bei. As they sent out wisps of divine sense, they used supreme emperor techniques to deduce Chu Bei's past and present lives. But what surprised them was that even with their emperor techniques, they could only see chaos. At this moment, Chu Bei was not in the mood to pay attention to the 5 immortal emperors who had reached the 3rd emperor realm. After the golden disk and the origin tool chart devoured the energy of the 3rd origin tool in the 6 source heaven worlds, a stream of information appeared in Chu Bei's knowledge sea. This stream of information was related to reviving Mu Shuer. Can we really find the 7th origin tool? Chu Bei sent out a divine sense with an excited expression. Help me recover, and I'll take you there. The origin tool chart replied. The next moment, the origin tool chart released a blinding divine light, and a heart-palpitating aura enveloped the entire Emperor Sea. At the same time, the golden disk trembled, and billions of ripples formed a beautiful passage. Let's go. The golden disk and the origin tool chart spoke at the same time. Then, an indescribably terrifying force wrapped around Chu Bei and disappeared. Everyone retreat. It's time to rest. Looking at the direction where Chu Bei, the origin tool chart, and the golden disk had disappeared, the 5 immortal emperors sighed. This was a chaotic world. There was only a blood-red mountain. A thin black sword was inserted into the mountain's peak. Ripples spread out. The golden disk and the origin tool chart appeared first. Chu Bei followed closely behind. This is the 7th origin tool? Chu Bei's gaze was fixed on the thin black sword. The aura flowing around the sword made his heart palpitate. Why have you all come looking for me? The black sword trembled and released a divine will. I need you to resurrect a person. His soul has been destroyed, and he has failed to reincarnate. The branches of the devil fruit tree swayed. What if I don't help? A sharp purple light shot out from the black sword's hilt. Although the 2 of us have yet to recover, it should be enough if we join forces to deal with you. The golden disk and the origin tool manual sandwiched the black sword in the middle, unleashing frightening energy fluctuations. 3 energy waves that far exceeded the might of an immortal emperor intertwined. In an instant, the blood mountain below was shattered. This time you owe me. The black sword let out a cold snort, and then soared into the sky. Hundreds of millions of rays of black light bloomed from the sword. In the black light, strange and mysterious runes sounded, and dense light spots suddenly appeared. Then, under Chu Bei's nervous and expectant gaze, these light spots gathered and intertwined. Gradually, these dots of light converged to form a beautiful woman with a graceful figure. Shuer! Chu Bei called out softly with tears in his eyes. If he hadn't fallen into a deep sleep for so long, he wouldn't have been separated by life and death. As time passed, the woman's empty eyes gradually became filled with emotion. Young martial uncle. In the black light, Mu Shuer's gaze was fixed on Chu Bei's body. Shuer, martial uncle has kept you waiting. Chu Bei appeared in front of Mu Shuer and pulled her into his arms. Mu Shuer bit her lips as tears welled up in her eyes. Let's go home. After Chu Bei thanked the Black Sword, he carried Mu Shuer and disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already in the purple cloud sect of the Black Wasteland. After spending 10,000 years alone with Mu Shuer, Chu Bei took Mu Shuer and left the purple cloud sect. Because they couldn't break through the third battlefield, the immortal emperors in the 4th to 7th battlefields had been trying to find a way to break through. As for Chu Bei, he had an indifferent attitude. For tens of thousands of years, he either used the golden disc and the Genesis Chi in the origin tool list to cultivate, accompanied Mu Shuer to travel the heavens, or taught the disciples of the All Heavens shop. Such a peaceful life lasted until one day, the great Eastern Sea region of the Chaos Heavens. Rumble! There was an earth-shattering explosion. In the depths of the great Eastern Sea region, a black ball of light larger than most emperor provinces appeared, slowly flying with the aura of an emperor. As it flew, the surrounding chaotic airflow formed an incomparably dazzling light behind it, leaving a long stream of light in the void. The direction it was heading was the center of the great regions of the Chaos Heavens where the various regions gathered. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, the black ball of light, which was so huge that it was larger than Emperor Province, maintained a moderate speed. However, the aura it released became more and more terrifying. When do you think we'll be able to break through the third battlefield? I wonder what the situation is like on those battlefields. It's been a lot calmer these eras. Just as a group of quasi-immortal emperor experts in the Great Eastern Sea region were discussing intensely, a behemoth with a supreme aura flashed past them not far away. Rumble! The shockwave formed by the black behemoth's impact on the surrounding chaotic airflow instantly hit the quasi-immortal emperor experts, sending them flying. Puff! The quasi-immortal emperor experts spat out blood, and their auras became chaotic. What is that? After the quasi-immortal emperor experts from different regions came back to their senses, they stared in horror at the black stream of light in the distance that dissipated after a long time. They were dumbfounded. They were already at the quasi-immortal emperor stage and were only one step away from the immortal emperor stage. Even in the Great Eastern Sea region, where danger lurked everywhere, they had the ability to protect themselves. For this reason, they had never thought that there would be an unknown object. Just the shockwave produced by its flight was enough to seriously injure them. Moreover, this was merely the aftermath of the collision. If he was hit head-on, then wouldn't he die for sure? What kind of terrifying existence is that? The quasi-immortal emperor experts looked at each other. When they recalled the boundless behemoth that flew past them, they all felt a lingering fear. But soon, they seemed to have thought of something, and the fear on their faces was replaced by excitement. An opportunity. This might be a great opportunity. I must seize this opportunity. Whether it's an inheritance or a treasure, I must seize it. As long as I seize it, even if I can't become a true immortal emperor, I'll definitely have the strength to fight against him. No matter how weak I am, I'll be able to escape safely from the hands of an immortal emperor. The quasi-immortal emperor experts were extremely excited and immediately used teleportation. Chapter 807. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. After several consecutive long-distance teleportations, the quasi-immortal emperors finally caught up to the side of the black ball of light that had slowed down. Heavens! There seems to be a person inside. The quasi-immortal emperors resisted the terrifying whistling sound and tried their best to look. When they saw the outline of the object in the black ball of light, Their pupils suddenly shrank, and their faces were filled with disbelief. How is this possible? The quasi-immortal emperors were stunned, and their expressions were a little dazed. They didn't dare to imagine that there would be a humanoid creature inside a behemoth that was even larger than an emperor province. No, it can't be a living creature. It must be a mystical creature. It's just in human form. After coming back to their senses, the quasi-immortal emperors were still unwilling to believe that there was a living creature inside the black ball of light. Since it's a mystical creature, let's make it stop first. The quasi-immortal emperors looked at each other, and after communicating with their eyes, they simultaneously used a secret technique to attack the black ball of light in the distance. Bang! However, the joint attack of these quasi-immortal emperors did not affect the behemoth in the slightest. Again! Seeing this, the quasi-immortal emperors attacked again. Boom, boom, boom! After hundreds of times, the quasi-immortal emperors finally chose to give up. No, this matter must be reported to the immortal emperors first. The quasi-immortal emperors from different emperor provinces hesitated for a moment. While following the behemoth, they used a secret technique to send a message to their respective factions. The fallen emperor's river is ahead. It's going to pass through the fallen emperor's river. As time passed, the quasi-immortal emperor's expressions suddenly changed. In the Chaos Heavens, there were many other dangerous places besides the 7 Forbidden Lands, and the fallen Emperor's River was one of them. The Blood Demon Door, one of the original 36 doors of the Origin World. Due to insufficient Genesis Chi, it left the Origin World and descended into the Chaos Heavens. Figures could be seen flying through the vast door. These figures had very unique appearances. Some had 8 faces and 24 arms. Some had 4 faces and 16 arms, some had 3 faces and 8 arms, and the most common one had 2 arms. In the Blood Demon Holy Land, the most important tribe was the Blood Demon tribe, and these figures with unique appearances were all blood demons. However, because of their different characteristics, they were divided into 4 classes. These 8-faced and 24-armed beasts were the rarest. They had the purest bloodline and the greatest potential. Of course, this division only applied to the weak blood demons. Once one became a quasi-immortal emperor, there would no longer be any difference in status. After all, they were all supreme experts. Isn't that Lord Bloodblade? Wasn't he looking for treasures in the great domain of chaos? Why are you back? Greetings, Lord Bloodblade. A group of blood demons, who were originally cultivating, immediately bowed respectfully when they saw a figure. The being known as Bloodblade looked at the group of clansmen and nodded before continuing to fly in a certain direction. Bloodblade, is what you said true? In a palace, a terrifying being whose aura was even stronger than Bloodblade spoke. I saw it with my own eyes, Bloodblade replied. If that's the case, then that huge object will really be a great opportunity. The being with the terrifying aura of an immortal emperor glanced at Bloody Knife and said, Take Feng Kong, Xinghe, Wu Hun and the others and take this opportunity. Don't let the other clans touch it. I'll report this to Lord Blood Demon now and see if he has any instructions. I'll rush over as soon as possible. All right. Bloodblade responded and quickly left. At this moment, not only in the Blood Demon's sacred land, but those quasi-immortal emperors who knew about the huge black object immediately reported this matter to the immortal emperors of the large domains where they were. An hour later. I heard that something big happened in the Far Eastern Sea region. Do you know about it? I heard that a great opportunity has appeared. Yes, there's a huge object bigger than the Emperor District. There seems to be a mysterious humanoid object inside. No one knows where it came from. However, it seems to have been taken over by the blood demons. Why? This great opportunity doesn't belong to their clan. In the great domain of chaos, the experts of various small domains were discussing the huge object intensely. Emperor District of the Great Heavens Shop. Yuan Di and a group of quasi-immortal emperors respectfully surrounded Chu Bei. At this moment, Yuan Di was telling Chu Bei what he knew about the black ball of light. Senior, what do you think about this? Yuan-di looked at Chu Bei and waited for his instructions. Black ball of light? Interesting. Chu Bei stood up from his chair with a playful look on his face. Since all of you think it's a great opportunity, then I'll naturally get a share of it. Chu Bei smiled. Senior, this opportunity has already been taken over by the Blood Demon's sacred land. The Blood Demon's sacred lord's cultivation is one of the 3 realms of immortal emperors, Yuan-di said. Do you think I'll be afraid of the Blood Demon's sacred lord? Chu Bei looked at Yuan-di and smiled knowingly. This? Yuan-di seemed to remember something and was suddenly at a loss for words. Let's go and take a look. A black glow lit up around Chu Bei after the voice that carried a smile sounded. Everyone, including Xiao Yan and Yuan-di, instantly followed Chu Bei and disappeared. Master, this is my first time in the Far East Sea region. In the blink of an eye, the scene in Xiao Yan's sight underwent a drastic change. A moment ago, it was still the Emperor district of the All Heavens shop. Now, the surroundings were hazy. Looking around, the surroundings were filled with mist-like chaotic airflow. The endless chaotic airflow produced a monstrous aura. Looking at the familiar chaotic star island, the experts, including Yuan-di, were full of respect again. At the same time, on the other side, because of the black ball of light's arrival, the originally peaceful fallen Emperor River suddenly became turbulent. Several huge spiral arms of water slapped at the behemoth. Each of them contained endless power, but they were unable to affect the behemoth in the slightest. At this moment, the behemoth was surrounded by countless experts. The innermost layer was made up of blood demons from the Blood Demon's sacred land. Each of them released a powerful aura as a warning to the other tribes. In the great domain of chaos, the gazes of countless powerhouses were focused on the black light that was still moving slowly. Boom! Suddenly, the black ball of light accelerated at a terrifying speed, mercilessly slamming into the fallen Emperor's river below with a terrifying storm of Emperor's energy. Chapter 808. It was also at this moment that the surrounding water spiral arms that carried terrifying power were instantly shattered by the impact. A large amount of water splashed into the distance of the great chaotic heavens. The islands that were originally floating in the fallen Emperor River were also blown apart by the high-speed impact of the black ball of light. It's completely stopped, the group of powerhouses exclaimed. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, the powerful beings in the periphery began to approach the black ball of light. The powerhouses in the field were divided into different clans. Different clans had vastly different appearances and were scattered in different directions. All of you, back off! With a low snort, the Blood Demon powerhouse in the innermost circle released a tyrannical aura that intimidated the other clans. Do you really think that the Blood Demon Holy Land is the overlord of the great chaotic heavens? This opportunity belongs to the entire great chaotic heavens, not just the Blood Demon Holy Land. Almost at the same time, another majestic voice rang out in the great chaotic heavens. Then, a green-robed elder appeared in the sight of the powerhouses. That's the primogenitor of the Myriad Beast clan. I can't believe he came personally. Rumor has it that he once battled with Emperor Yuan for tens of thousands of years before the victor was decided. Upon hearing the voice, the various clans' gazes focused on the green-robed elder. After recognizing his identity and origin, they were all astonished. Brother Myriad Beast is right. Does the Blood Demon clan want to become enemies with all the clans in the great chaotic heavens? Although the great chaotic heavens are powerful, don't be too arrogant. If you become enemies with the entire great chaotic heavens, you won't have a good time. After the primogenitor of the Myriad Beast clan, several figures appeared in the sight of the powerhouses. Oh my God! Celestial Emperor Kuei Mu, Celestial Emperor Jin Tian, Celestial Emperor Di Feng. These are the strongest celestial emperors in the great chaotic heavens. They only appear once in 10,000 years, but they're all here. That's great. With them here, we can put pressure on the Blood Demon clan. We'll let them know that the great chaotic heavens doesn't belong to the Blood Demon Holy Land alone. Maybe we can even get a share of the loot. The powerhouses from the various forces looked at the powerhouses who had appeared after the primogenitor of the great chaotic heavens. What? Aren't you blood demons going to move aside? The primogenitor of all beasts took the lead and glared at the experts of the blood demon holy land. An incomparably terrifying pressure poured out like a torrential river. Puff! Puff! Instantly, the blood demon clan's expert's face paled as he spat out blood. Bloodblade, what should we do now? The blood demon powerhouse looked at Bloodblade and asked. Lady Bai Ling should be here by now. Blood Knife glanced at primogenitor Thousand Beasts with a frown. Since you won't move aside, don't blame me for not giving face to your blood demon holy land. The primogenitor of all beasts snorted coldly. However, just as he was about to send the blood demon holy land's experts flying, a tyrannical existence that was not inferior to him appeared in the distance. 10,000 beasts, you think you're strong enough to bully a junior of my clan? A furious voice rang out. Then, a huge palm slammed towards the primogenitor. Old Bai Ling, do you want to spar? Ancestor of all beasts didn't even look at the incoming palm. He clenched his fist and punched out. Bang! There was an earth-shattering explosion as the fist and palm collided. The terrifying Emperor's origin source law exploded. The terrifying shockwaves sent the surrounding experts flying. At the same time, on the other side of the Chaos Great Domain. Senior, that's the direction of the fallen Emperor River. It seems like the strongest experts of the Great Domain are fighting there. A quasi-immortal Emperor expert looked at Chu Bei and said, Isn't that where the black ball of light is? The battle must be in that area. Yuan Di added. I know, Chu Bei said with a faint smile. Then, he waved his hand again and disappeared with Yuan Di and the others. Above the fallen Emperor River. That's the blood demon Holy Land's ancestor Bai Ling. It's said that his strength is second only to the blood demon primogenitor. Like the primogenitor of all beasts, he's also at the peak of the first Emperor realm. Is there going to be a life and death battle between immortal emperors? Is it still safe for us to stay here? Impossible! At their level, it's impossible for a life and death battle to happen. No one wants to die. After the experts from the various factions stabilized themselves, they began to discuss among themselves. Greetings, Lord Bai Ling! The group of experts from the Blood Demon Holy Land immediately bowed to the white-robed figure. Old Bai Ling, don't tell me that you really dare to take this opportunity for yourself in front of so many clans? Not only the All-Beasts progenitor, but Immortal Emperor Kuei Mu, Immortal Emperor Jin Tian, Immortal Emperor Di Feng, and the other strongest experts of the Great Domain also looked coldly at Ancestor Bai Ling. You must be joking. Ancestor Bai Ling swept his gaze across the experts. The Blood Demon progenitor said that any clan with an 8-star sovereign and one immortal emperor is qualified to explore this colossal object. As soon as Ancestor 100 Spirit's voice drifted across the great domain of chaos, the clamor in the field reached a higher level. What does that mean? If that's the case, won't it have nothing to do with our clan? After all, our clan doesn't have an 8-star sovereign and one immortal emperor. That's right. If a small domain only has one 8-star immortal emperor, what about the other clans? Isn't this too unfair to us? Some experts from the other clans protested. That's a good suggestion. On the other hand, Myriad Beast's progenitor, Immortal Emperor Kuei Mu, and the other experts looked at each other and nodded in satisfaction with smiles on their faces. As expected, these immortal emperors are only fighting for the benefit of their own clans. They don't care about the other clans when the benefits are there. Let's be more open-minded. This is a world where the strong preys on the weak. Those with strength naturally have the right to speak. The clans without an 8-star sovereign and one immortal emperor had ugly expressions. Although all of you are qualified to send people in, the number of experts who can enter is different. An 8-star sovereign and one immortal emperor clan can send 30 people, 2 clans can send 60 people, and so on. At this moment, Ancestor Bai Ling of the Blood Demon's Sacred Ground spoke again. Will the Blood Demon's Sacred Ground abide by this rule? Hearing Ancestor Bai Ling's words, the all-beasts progenitor and the other immortal emperors frowned. Of course not. The blood demon's sacred ground doesn't have a limit, Ancestor Bai Ling said calmly. Why? The all-beasts progenitor and immortal Emperor Kuei-mu glared at Ancestor Bai Ling with gloomy expressions. This is my intention. Do you have any objections? Being able to let you join us is already the greatest gift we can give you. Before Ancestor Bai Ling could speak, a powerful and dignified voice came from the blood demon's sacred ground. At this moment, an incomparably huge figure appeared above the blood demon's sacred ground. He was shrouded in a hazy purple mist and gave off an illusory feeling. Chapter 809. Do you think there's a limit to the number of people in the Purple Extreme clan? At this moment, another powerful voice rang out with a hint of a smile. Then, a gigantic figure appeared above the Purple Extreme gate. It was also impossible to see its appearance. Who's the speaker? The Blood Demon's Sacred Land progenitor and the Purple Extreme Gate progenitor. Around the behemoths, the experts of various races looked at the two blurry figures above the Blood Demon's sacred ground and the Purple Pole Gate one after another. Each and every one of them revealed a look of astonishment as they discussed intensely. The Blood Demon progenitor snorted and ignored the Purple Extreme Gate progenitor's mocking words. Aren't the two of you too arrogant? You really don't put us in your eyes. The primogenitor of beasts glanced coldly at the Blood Demon primogenitor and the East Emperor primogenitor. He said, Although the two of you have entered the Third Emperor realm, I know that you seem to be under some kind of restriction. Ever since you returned from the fourth battlefield, you have been unable to leave the portal and travel the great domains of chaos like us. To put it simply, so what if you're strong? In the end, you can only send out immortal Emperor D like the Bai Ling Elder. The Thousand Beasts progenitor snorted. Even if you can't leave the sacred land, I can still suppress you with my divine will. Accompanied by a cold voice, the gigantic purple figure above the Blood Demon's sacred land suddenly condensed into a gigantic purple palm print. Under the gazes of countless experts, the purple palm print shot out as if it had pierced through space from the Blood Demon Gate. It instantly appeared above the fallen Emperor River and headed straight for the Thousand Beasts progenitor. The Thousand Beasts progenitor narrowed his eyes at the sight of the gigantic purple palm. Without any hesitation, he gathered all the energy in his body into his palm and shot out his own palm. Rumble! In an instant, a new space was formed at the place where the two collided. In this space, the two gigantic palms collided. Two different origin energies intertwined and released a destructive energy storm. Boom! Finally, with an explosion, the purple palm print's energy invaded the Thousand Beasts progenitor's body. Then, with a painful scream, the Thousand Beasts progenitor's body exploded into a pile of minced meat. However, the minced meat quickly gathered together and turned back into the Thousand Beasts progenitor. Damn it! The Myriad Beasts primogenitor stabilized himself. His face was somewhat pale as he cursed viciously. When he looked at the Blood Demon primogenitor again, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. It wasn't just the primogenitor of Myriad Beasts. The other immortal emperors who had the same thought also turned solemn. Is this the strength of the Blood Devil progenitor? As expected of the super-existence who founded the Blood Demon Holy Land. Without his true body, he defeated the Myriad Beast primogenitor with just his divine will. Since they're both door founders, the Purple Pole primogenitor probably has the same strength. When the experts from the various clans looked at the primogenitors of the two major sects again, their eyes were filled with fear. Now, do you have any objections to my previous instructions? The Blood Devil progenitor's cold voice rang out from the grand domain of chaos. However, this time, the primogenitor of Myriad Beasts, Kuei-mu, and the other immortal emperors did not dare to raise any objections. Their faces were filled with anger and unwillingness. Very good. Since no one has expressed their opinions, then regarding this mysterious object, I don't think it's appropriate. At the very least, there shouldn't be a limit to the number of disciples who can enter. At this moment, the Blood Devil progenitor's words were suddenly interrupted by a mocking voice. Almost at the same time, the cultivators above the fallen Emperor River were shocked. They were all dumbfounded. Who said that? How dare he refute the Blood Devil progenitor? Does he have a death wish? Is he blind? Didn't he see how the Blood Devil progenitor defeated the myriad beast primogenitor with just his divine will? The experts from various clans turned their heads to look. Soon, a group of figures appeared in their sights. The leader was a young man in a purple robe. At this moment, the purple-robed young man had his hands behind his back and looked calm and composed. The owner of the All Heavens shop. I didn't expect him to be here. Instantly, the crowd broke out into discussion again. So it's you. You destroyed the Tianluo clan. Do you know that the Blood Devil tribe and the Tianluo clan share the same origin? The Blood Devil progenitor's cold voice drifted through the air above the Blood Devil's sacred ground, carrying a sharp killing intent. If you could kill me, shouldn't you have done it the first time we met? Chu Bei looked indifferently in the direction of the Blood Devil's sacred ground. His tone was calm, as if he didn't take the Blood Devil progenitor seriously. Do you have a problem with my instructions? The Blood Devil progenitor snorted coldly. Then, a violent aura surged from above the Blood Devil's sacred ground. When it appeared above the fallen Emperor River, it formed a sharp blade and stabbed toward Chu Bei. Crack! However, before this sharp blade could even touch Chu Bei, it was shattered by a black light, causing a wave of clear and melodious sounds to ring out. Could that be the energy that restricted the Blood Devil progenitor? The Blood Devil progenitor left his door, so it came out. Countless experts were stunned by the black light at first, but they soon realized what it was. Whoosh! The Emperor's aura surged, and layers of waves surged toward the giant black palm. Let me go! Let me go back! The Blood Devil progenitor's expression became more and more fearful as he watched the approaching black light. However, no matter how much he tried, he couldn't break free from the giant black palm. The giant black palm didn't seem to have much energy, but it was like a black hole with endless devouring power that firmly bound him. No! No! Finally, the Blood Devil progenitor gave up struggling. His face was filled with unwillingness and helplessness. His eyes were filled with hatred as he looked at Chu Bei. At this point, it was too late for him to break free. He could only allow the giant black palm to suppress him. However, just as he was about to face the giant black palm's suppression, the giant black palm that bound him suddenly expanded. Are you trying to snatch someone from me? Suddenly, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded in the ears of countless experts, as if he was speaking to the giant black palm. The moment he finished speaking, tens of thousands of black balls of light appeared around the giant black palm. Chi! 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 In an instant, these black balls of light shot out from the giant black palm. Whoosh! The surging river of energy brought about huge tornadoes. They carried with them the power to destroy the heavens and earth as they wrapped around the black balls of light, as if to purify them. Chapter 8:10. As if provoked, these balls of black light began to swell. Then, as if they had become black holes, they began to devour the river of origin energy. Bang! The two energies clashed, creating a series of explosions. Heavens! Is the All Heavens shop master resisting the mysterious energy that suppressed the blood demon progenitor? But then again, just what kind of energy is that? Where did it come from? Why is it only targeting the progenitors who created the portal? The countless experts around Fallen Emperor's river were flabbergasted as they watched the river of energy clash with the black balls of light. As the two energies entered a stalemate, a large black brick appeared behind Chu Bei. The black brick trembled, releasing tens of thousands of black rays of light. Each ray of light connected to the black balls of light in the river of laws. The devouring power contained in these black balls of light instantly soared to an even higher level. At this moment, the stalemate between the two energies was broken. Whoosh! A large number of vortexes appeared in the surging river of energy. The source of these vortexes was none other than the black balls of light. A few moments later, the strange river of energy split into nearly 10,000 streams, all of which were devoured by the black vortexes. The mysterious energy suppressing the Portal Master's attack has been neutralized. Heavens! The All-Heavens Shop Master is simply too crazy. He must have already surpassed the Portal Master's cultivation. Just what kind of cultivation realm is he at? Looking at the disappearing river of energy above them, countless experts were stunned once again, unable to regain their senses. Ever since the All-Heavens Shop Master had arrived, they had been shocked again and again. It's gone. Witnessing this, the blood demon primogenitor let out a long sigh, feeling as if all his strength had been sucked out of him. Do you think this god still needs to listen to your orders? Chu Bei calmly looked at the blood demon progenitor with his hands behind his back. As he spoke, the black giant clenched his fist, and with a bang, the blood demon progenitor's true body exploded. Fortunately, his soul had not been destroyed, and his physical body was immediately reconstructed. However, in the previous explosion, a lot of devouring power had invaded his spirit. Vaguely, he had a feeling that as long as the owner of All-Heavens Shop willed it, the devouring power would instantly annihilate his spirit and cause him to truly disappear from the great domain of chaos. After hearing Chu Bei's mocking words, the blood devil primogenitor no longer dared to show any disrespect. He returned to the blood devil sacred land as soon as possible, not daring to say another word. Above the purple pole gate, the purple pole primogenitor was also silent. His large eyes were filled with fear towards Chu Bei. Immortal emperors like Myriad Beast Progenitor and Kuei Mu didn't dare to speak. They instinctively lowered their heads when Chu Bei glanced at them. Are all of you curious as to why I am not suppressed by the origin energy of the chaotic heavens? Chu Bei's smiling voice echoed in the chaotic heavens. Upon hearing this, the blood demon progenitor, the purple pole primogenitor, and the other three supreme immortal emperors all looked puzzled. Because I don't belong to the chaotic heavens, Chu Bei said. When your strength reaches a certain level, you can directly wipe out the origin energy of the chaotic heavens, not to mention being suppressed. What? The chaotic heavens has an origin energy? It's suppressing the gate masters and preventing them from leaving. The owner of All-Heavens Shop doesn't belong to the chaotic heavens. How is that possible? Then where did he come from? Upon hearing Chu Bei's words, countless experts were in disbelief. Chu Bei's words seemed to have completely shattered their worldview. If you think that this opportunity belongs to everyone in the chaotic heavens, and if you don't fear death, then go in. Chu Bei said calmly as he pointed at the huge black ball of light above the fallen Emperor River and swept his gaze across the experts in the surroundings. Upon hearing Chu Bei's words, the quasi-immortal emperors and even those who had just entered the immortal emperor realm looked at each other excitedly. Many thanks to the All-Heavens Shop! The experts' eyes were filled with gratitude. A moment later, the experts of the chaotic heavens led by Chu Bei leaped into the black ball of light. Splash! This was a blood-red ocean. Above the ocean, countless colorful mists floated, each of which contained a supreme emperor's aura. From time to time, strong winds would surge, carrying with them patches of emperor runes that swept through the water. What is this? Where is that humanoid thing we saw outside? Could it be that this place calls itself another world? The experts who had entered the black ball of light looked at the boundless blood-red ocean in astonishment. Even with their cultivation, the divine sense they released was actually suppressed in this place, and they were unable to sense anything. Rumble! In an instant, a soul-stirring rumble drifted out from the distant stars. Soon after, the calm blood-red ocean began to boil. The river of time is unstable. What's going on? What's going on? Look over there! Not only the experts from the other space-time, but even Chu Bei and Yi Fan looked toward the depths of the blood-red ocean. There, between the sea and the stars, was suddenly filled with boundless darkness and mist. A huge palace with no end in sight floated on the surface of the sea. Like a ship, it floated towards Chu Bei and the others. Looking over, there were many buildings in the palace. They were magnificent and huge, and no one knew which epoch they were built in. They were majestic and awe-inspiring. The moment it appeared, the immortal emperors below the first emperor round 5 stars felt their majestic immortal chi being suppressed. As for the quasi-immortal emperors, their bodies trembled uncontrollably. They couldn't help but want to submit and kowtow. Chu Bei frowned, and his eyes turned cold. He also felt the power of the palace in the depths of the blood-red ocean. However, this power didn't pose much pressure to him now. D-San, this is definitely D-San's power! Looking at the approaching palace in the depths of the blood-red ocean, the expressions of the supreme experts changed again. Boom! Suddenly, a huge hole appeared in the starry sky above the palace. With a loud bang, a huge silver tablet fell in front of the palace from the gap. Origin Source Tomb! Looking at the 2 bloody words on the silver tablet, the immortal emperors were shocked, and their eyes were filled with fear. Origin Source Tomb? Was it referring to a place name? Where is it? Did that palace really come from the end of the blood-red ocean? The immortal emperors looked ahead in a daze and muttered to themselves in confusion. Chapter 8:11. The blood on the silver tablet was black. It carried the rune fragments of time and flowed with the power of the origin of darkness. With just a glance, even someone as strong as an immortal emperor would lose his mind. This was too terrifying. If one sensed carefully, they would find that not only the silver tablet, but the entire vast palace complex was filled with a dense aura of death and endless power of darkness. Master, do you know where this is? Yi Fan looked at the palace in the depths of the blood-red sea in a daze. Then, he looked at Chu Bei and asked tentatively. When your strength reaches a certain level, you will naturally know everything. Chu Bei smiled and avoided answering. Who woke me up? At this moment, the palace trembled again. There was movement in the central palace. Suddenly, a voice sounded. It was ancient, vicissitude, and oppressive, causing the immortal emperors to feel a chill. This voice was too terrifying. It was as if a peerless emperor was questioning and looking down. It was enough to make all living things in the world tremble. Their bodies and souls would be turned into dust with a single thought. Are you a native of this place? Where is this? A 3-star immortal emperor at the first emperor realm asked. I am asking a question. You only need to answer. It is not your turn to ask. As the cold and majestic voice fell, an explosion sounded. A supreme expert's body and primordial spirit exploded. It was the person who had asked the question earlier. In an instant, above the blood-red sea, all the immortal emperors fell into fear. They stared at the palace in the depths of the sea in panic. With a single thought, he had killed a 3-star immortal emperor. Who is it that woke me up? The ancient and cold voice sounded from the palace again. It was filled with the aura of an emperor and carried supreme majesty. The cold and emotionless voice sounded in their ears again. No one dared to speak again, as if they were afraid that they would end up like the previous immortal emperor. Dong, dong, dong! Just as the blood-red sea fell into dead silence, a deep and rhythmic muffled sound shook the hearts of the experts. Chu Bei stood with his hands behind his back and walked toward the palace in the depths of the blood-red sea. In an instant, all the immortal emperors in the blood-red ocean focused their attention on that familiar figure. Is there going to be another battle between the 3 realms of the Emperor Realm? The group of supreme experts gasped nervously. They had even temporarily forgotten the meaning of the 2 words Genesis Tomb on the silver tablet. It was you who woke me up! Above a pavilion in the middle of the palace, a purple light appeared, and a vague figure could be seen in the purple light. He was high up in the air, dignified and holy. He hadn't even revealed his body, but he was already exuding an invincible aura that looked down on all eternity. What does that have to do with me? Chu Bei looked at the purple light above the pavilion without any fear on his face. At that moment, he merged with the power of the Origin Tool Catalog and the Golden Disc. He had his own conceit and his own invincibility. Those who enter the tomb must be pious and sincere. Kowtow with every step. The palace that had been corroded by the power of darkness released specks of pitch black and deep luster, as if it was polished from black immortal gold. The dignified voice reverberated above the blood-red sea, rumbling and shaking the palace. It seemed even more dignified, holy, and inviolable. Chu Bei didn't reply. His cold gaze swept across the palace in front of him. To his surprise, he didn't know if it was because of the palace or the silver tablet, but at that moment, the Origin Tool catalog and the golden disc in his sea of knowledge were swaying crazily. It was a kind of desire, as if it urgently wanted to obtain something. Looking around, the palace was very spacious and dusty. Some statues were covered in dust, and no figures could be seen. There was only a sense of ancientness, vicissitudes, and desolation. Some corpses were piled up under some broken rocks. It was unknown how many epochs they had been dead for. How dare you not worship the tomb when you see it? Suddenly, a cold and indifferent voice with some anger came from the purple light above the central pavilion. The voice was loud and resonated with the stars, causing the boundless blood-red sea to tremble violently. It was as if an emperor had descended, suppressing the world with his might. Hearing this, the expressions of the celestial emperors became more and more serious. The creature in the purple light was really too powerful. Judging from its aura, it had even surpassed the master of the door. Just a shout alone was enough to make their souls tremble. If they were in front of the palace, the 6 words just now would be enough to shake their souls out and set foot on the road to death. This was really too powerful. Just chanting the incantation could end the life of an celestial emperor. Boom! However, in the face of such a terrifying pressure, Chu Bei's steps were firm and powerful. His expression was unmoved as he continued to stride forward. With every step he took, the blood-red ocean and the starry sky trembled along with him. Even all the buildings in the dark palace shook as if they were about to rise into the sky. When he was not far away from the palace, Chu Bei stopped in his tracks and punched out. On the surface of his fist, a beam of 10-colored light spewed out. A terrifying aura covered the sky and covered the sea. It was peerlessly domineering and went straight into the depths of the palace, directly suppressing the purple light above the pavilion. Why would I be afraid of a mere D3 ant? Worship? What qualifications do you have? Chu Bei's eyes narrowed, and then he shouted. His voice was loud, as if the Lord of the Celestial Emperors was giving a decree. His words were the law. The runes of the great Tao condensed above the blood-red sea, turning into a 10-colored decree. There were blazing flames, black snowflakes, and yellow sand dancing in the sky. It followed closely behind the 10-colored light and bombarded the purple light. The 10-colored light intertwined and flickered. It was too powerful and too dazzling. The originally dark palace was instantly illuminated. At the same time, Chu Bei's body released the 10-colored light. The holy light sprinkled down, giving people a sense of incomparable holiness. At this moment, he was like the eternal ruler of the universe. The celestial emperor had manifested, and his divine might was unparalleled. The 10-colored light illuminated the darkness, turning everything into light. Impudent! Suddenly, a shout came from the purple light. It was filled with anger, killing intent, and endless dark runes. He seemed to have felt provoked, so he attacked without hesitation. A gray palm stretched out from the purple light. It was almost shriveled, with skin wrapped around bones. It seemed to be slow and heavy as it slapped towards the 10-colored light, carrying with it the monstrous might of an emperor. In the palm, the power of the origin heaven was endless. The sun and moon rotated, and the stars were endless. Heaven and earth were opening up, and chaos was evolving. There was also a path leading to an unknown place faintly discernible. The palm did not look big, and its size was very ordinary, but it seemed to control everything in the world. It could split heaven and earth and control reincarnation. It was extremely terrifying. Boom! A world-shaking collision. The bloody words Genesis Tomb released a chilling white light that enveloped the entire palace of darkness, protecting it from being destroyed by the aftershocks of the explosion. As for the starry sky, it completely collapsed. The blood-red sea completely cracked, and the two formed a boundless storm. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.